When we multiply, it's a little bit more complicated. So let's do this first example here. 4 times 3, this is 12. We're in our normal base 10 numeral system, so I write a 2 and I carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, and I add 1 and I get 7. And then I write a 0 there. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. And I simply add the two numbers. So 2 plus 0 is a 2. 7 plus 4 is 11. So I add 1 and carry the 1. 1 plus 2 is a 3. So my answer is 312. Now I'm going to do the same sort of thing, but I'm going to do it base 5. And so I'll need a base 5 multiplication table. And so 4 times 3, I come down here, I look, 4 times 3 is actually a 22. So I write a 2, and I carry the 2. 4 times 3 again, 4 times 3 is 22, and I add 2, so 23, 24. As long as you don't cross that threshold, that 5 threshold there, you're fine. So 23 plus 2, 23, 24 is fine. And then I write a 0 here. And now I have 2 times 4. So 2 times 4 is actually 13 things. So I'll write a 3 here, and I'll carry my 1. And then 2 times 4, again, same answer. 2 times 4 is 13. And then I add 1, and I get 14. And so I add my columns. So 2 plus 0 is just a 2. 4 plus 3, remember you have to use a base 5 addition table if you pass that 5. And so 4 plus 3 is a 12, so I have a 2 and a 1. 1 plus 2, well, that should just be 3 things, so 1 plus 2 is 3 things. And then I'm adding 4, so 3 plus 4 is a 12, so I have a 2, and I carry the 1. And finally, 1 plus 1 is just 2 things, and so what I have is 2, 2, 2, 2, base 5. A similar process works for base 2, so let's pull this up. All right, so here's my base 2 multiplication tables, and I can do it. And so what I have is, 1 times 0, of course, is going to be 0. So all these first 3 columns will be zeros, so 0, 0, 0. And 1 times 1 is just 1, so you just copy it down, 1, and then 1. I write down an additional 0, and now I get 0 times all these, so that just gives me back all zeros. So I get 0, 0, 0, 0, and another 0. And then I write down 2 zeros, so 1, 1, 2. And I get 1 times 0, 1 times 0, 1 times 0, so 3 additional zeros. And then finally I have 1 times 1 and 1 times 1, so I get 2 1s, so 1, 1. Now I write down 3 zeros, so 1, 2, 3 zeros. And again, I have 1 times and 3 more zeros, so 1, 2, 3. And then 1 times 1 and 1 times 1, so 1 and a 1. And I just add the columns. So I have a column of all zeros, so I get back 0. Another column of 0, so I get back 0. Another column of 0, so I get back 0. Finally, I get 1 plus all zeros, so 1. Again, 1 plus all zeros, so 1. A 0 plus a 1 is a 1, plus a 0 is still 1. Now here I have to be a little bit careful. 1 plus 1 is not 2. Right? Remember, in base 2, you can only use zeros and 1s. So 1 plus 1 is actually this 10. Right? So you write a 0 and carry the 1. And then 1 plus 1 again is this 10. So I write down 10. And then write down a little bit of a 2 down here, so everybody knows that 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0 is base 2. Alright, the final part of this review, I'm not really going to test you on. I think I told you this in class. But you can fill in the missing blanks, like 4 times 3 is a 12, so you'd write a 1 and a 2. Right, this is Napier's bones. 5 times 2 is a 10, so I'd write 1 and 0. 5 times 3 is a 15, so 1 and 5. And what you can do is you can use this algorithm, right, this new process here to figure out, what is 23 times 45. So the idea is you just add the diagonals. So this is a 5. This is 3 things. 1 plus 8 is 9, plus a 1 is 10, so you take a 0, you carry the 1, and then 1 plus 0 is 1. And so if you do this on your calculator, you'll see that this is actually 1,035 things. Over here, this is sort of a process I set up to try to get you guys to try to understand how multiplication works, and this is actually an older technique I did about a year ago, but we can go through it. You know, the idea is if you want to multiply 23 times 45 and try to understand what you're really doing, what you're really doing is you're taking 20 times 10 plus 3 times 5, that gives you this row, so 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 2 is 10, right? So you get 15 things, and you get 10 things. And then you take 4 times 3, so this is really 12 tens, right? And then here you have 4 times 2, and so you really get 8 10 squareds, right? 8, and then 10 times 10 is the 10 squared. You can then rewrite this stuff, you know, so you're using the correct numerals, right? You can't have 15 ones, you can have at most, you know, 0 through 9. So what you do is you write 5 ones, and then you bring over the 1 10. So you have 1 times 10, and then 10 times 10 is the 1 times 10 squared. Same sort of thing here. What's happening is you have 12 tens, but you can't write a 12 in the tens place. So what can you do? You can write a 2 in the tens place and carry the 10 times 10, which gives you an extra 10 squared, so you get 9 10 squareds. And then you can add up the columns, right? So that's 5, that's 3 tens. This turns out to be 10 10 squareds, so you're going to get 0 10 squares, and you carry the 1 and get a 10 cubed, right? 10 10 squareds is just 1 10 cubed. And you get it the same answer, 1,035.